crisis between India and Pakistan has been downgraded from the threat of imminent war, but the peace irritant Kashmir remains very much alive. How long before it flares up again? My guest today is a Pakistani, head of the National Kashmir Committee, appointed by the Pakistani leader General Musharraf. How serious is his government about stopping terrorism in Kashmir and elsewhere? Qayyum Khan, a very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome.
What guarantees that Pakistan has stopped supporting terrorism?
It guarantees the international community. You see, it's an area open for anybody to go and visit. Particularly the United Nations military observers have been there.
Well, the guarantees haven't been worth much for the last 20 years, have they?
No, there have been no guarantees in the past. Nobody has given any guarantee in that respect. It is for the first time that President Musharraf has banned some of the organizations, militant organizations in Pakistan, who were considered to be the main source of irritation.
You say he's banned some of them, but he's detained, he's released some people, and then he's detained others again.
Well, I think it's a part of the strategy. It's not given, but it's a part of the strategy. You see, if you can make the people realize that they were doing something wrong, and then I think it's not necessary. And they were not basically...
You think just a couple of weeks in jail tells these people who've been trained to be jihadis or launch terrorist actions for most of their lives, a couple of weeks in jail will persuade them not to do it anymore?
No,
go off and be good boys now?
You see, Tim, the idea is that some of the people must have realized by now, as I understand, I feel, that they were committed to a wrong concept. In the name of jihad, there was something doing wrong to the Kashmir movement itself. Therefore, having realized this, and some very educated people, and decent people also there. You see, some of the people, are battle-hardened in Afghan battle. They've been there. So they'll perhaps remain as it is. But
so 300 out of the 2,000 who were originally arrested are all that's left in jail. This isn't much of a... I was asking you earlier about guarantees. This isn't much of a guarantee that they're not going to go back to their old ways, is it? There are something like 30,000 jihadis who are said to have been trained by the Inter-Services Agency, the intelligence services, by the army and by the religious schools.
That is not right. That's not the correct information.
Why not? They've been doing it for 20 years.
No, it was not by Inter-Services Intelligence. You see, the people who have been in Afghanistan for so many years, and they got training there. And there were camps there which were closed down later on by this new
training courtesy of your Inter-Services Agency.
Not necessarily.
What do you mean not necessarily? They were trained by them and by your army as well.
No. You see, if you look at the pattern of the operations themselves, that will explain much for what I am saying. But it is not the pattern conducted by regularly, highly professionally trained army. You see, it is exactly what was happening in Afghanistan. There were camps in Afghanistan, and the people who were trained.
And who sponsored them?
Nobody sponsored them.
Of course they do.
No.
The Pakistani security agency. Look, let me just give you this from a report by the director of the Task Force on Terrorism at the US Congress. This is a report he wrote in the 90s. Since the 1980s, the whole network of camps used to train Afghan mujahideen turned by the ISI into a center of Islamic terrorism throughout Southeast Asia. This is what was done.
You see,
this is the American perception, rather.
The American perception, but it's not necessarily 100% correct. You see, the people...
98 then. 98% correct.
No. You see,
the next you'll be telling me that the ISI have white hands. There's nothing that they ever did that was wrong.
No, not that. Certainly not that. I'm not saying that. You see, but I know that the Afghan people did not need any training by the ISI. They've been fighters for generations. You see, so and the kind of battle that they're conducting is not the professionally trained people. It's just the local concept of fighting the way they've been fighting. I mean that explains for really whether there was some training or not. And then in Azad Kashmir and Pakistan, the number in Azad Kashmir alone, there are more than 150,000.
In Pakistani administered Kashmir.
Yes, more than 150,000 people who are retired from the different arms of the military service.
So you're saying the intelligence services, the army, have nothing to do with any terrorist actions whatsoever in Kashmir or elsewhere?
Nothing to do with terrorist action.
So why does a senior aide to General Musharraf tell the Washington Post journalist a couple of weeks ago he thought that elements of the ISI were out of control? Why would he say that?
There could be, you see, because they're all over the world. It is the same with intelligence agencies. You sometimes they become, instead of agencies, you see, they become the rulers, and they assume great responsibility, like the CIA, like Mossad, like
But Mr. Khan, you can't have it both ways. On the one hand, you're telling me that the ISI is doing nothing wrong. And on the other, you're telling me that elements of them are out of control.
No, Mr. Tim, I didn't say they were doing nothing wrong. I said they were not responsible for training and conducting any subversion or any terrorism. Terrorism is a misnomer. It's a wrongly applied name, you see. Some people, of course, did commit terrorism, like the Al-Faran business in the beginning. You see, we still do not know who they were. ISI had nothing to do with them.
So when in the 90s, the director of the Task Force on Terrorism at the US Congress wrote that Islamabad used the escalation in Kashmir as a cover for the overall expansion of the terrorist training and support system for operations in Central Asia and elsewhere in the world, he was wrong.
If they have done it, then that must have stopped by now, you see. I'm not very sure.
That's not much of a guarantee. If they've done it, it must have stopped.
You see, because I'm not a witness. I'm not a witness to all this. The director never spoke to me about it, never told me about this. But
you're an appointee of General Musharraf. You must know what's been going on in
General Musharraf has done what maximum he could do. And I think he has done very well. No other government, no other president or prime minister could have done what Pervez Musharraf has done, because he had this backing and support of the army behind him.
There was a bomb last week at the US consulate in Karachi. That's not exactly doing very well.
Yes, but we are ourselves victims of terrorism. Is the ISI conducting terrorism against Pakistan? We are also, as you know, victims of terrorism.
Al-Qaeda, now suspected of being involved with indigenous groups?
No, not in Azad Kashmir, not in Kashmir.
How do you know?
I know because I belong to Kashmir, Mr. Tim. I'm son of the soil, and Azad Kashmir is a small territory, but a small chunk of 4,000 square miles, thickly populated. And we know almost everybody in every inch of the ground. And then Al-Qaeda, if Al-Qaeda was there, that means the area of operation, area of conflict was expanding. And the expansion of the area of conflict is not in the interest of the Kashmiris. And one of the Kashmiri leaders who was killed the other day in Srinagar, he made it very clear that we are not in favor of any external intervention in the Kashmir movement, because it changes the very complexion of the movement.
Has General Musharraf got the power to stop any intervention, any terrorism in Kashmir? He's carried out almost every conceivable device to strengthen his own position, has he?
Yes, we don't believe it.
Has he got the strength?
We don't believe it to be terrorism, but what he has done is stop militant movement across from the...
Why don't you believe it to be terrorism?
No, it's not terrorism. Terrorism
if you cross the line of control, you start attacking targets.
Line of control, my friend, is not sacrosanct for Kashmiris. We accept it only a ceasefire line. We not accepted it as a control line. And even if it was control line, the United Nations has permitted Kashmiris to cross over from both sides.
You are an appointee of General Musharraf, and you say that the line of control isn't worth a thing.
No, Kashmiris don't accept. I mean,
this is what you're saying. You're saying it's worthless. Yes, the line of control.
Being appointee of president, it doesn't mean that I don't know what is happening, and I don't.
So he agrees with you. The line of control is worthless. General Musharraf.
But he himself said, you see, that bilateralism has failed in Kashmir. That's exactly what it means.
So the line of control is worthless as far as Pakistan is concerned. So you see no reason to respect it?
No, I personally, as a Kashmiri, see no reason to respect it.
And he sees no reason to respect it?
I don't know about him. He may see reason or not.
Well, you're his appointee.
Yes, appointee doesn't mean that I have changed my views about it, you see. I'm dealing with the Kashmir issue as his appointee, not dealing with these specifics, small, micro...
I asked you whether he was strong enough to actually stop...
He's strong enough.
Even though his aide says he doesn't know necessarily what the ISI is doing, that there might be rogue elements. The fact is,
there might be rogue elements, you see, in every...
You've created a monster that you can't control in the shape of the ISI.
But it is being controlled. It is being controlled today.
Well, you're the only person who's saying that.
But I know, because I'm son of the soil. I live in the ground. People talk from newspapers and other things, but I live there, you see. So therefore, I have responsibility to my people. Not leave aside Pervez Musharraf, but I owe a responsibility to my people for what I say. So there's no question of it being wrong what I'm saying.
No question at all?
No, absolutely no question of anything being wrong what I'm saying.
Well, every official in India would contest what you're saying. But I want to talk to you about a meeting that you had.
Just please, you see what the Indian government has said and what they're saying, what they will say. They will continue to do that regardless of what the ground realities are. But that has been their attitude right from the very beginning. It's not today. Yes,
let me talk about a meeting that you had with one of the leaders from Indian-administered Kashmir.
In Dubai.
In Dubai.
Yes.
A couple of months ago.
Yes.
Abdul
Lone, yes. And
Umar
Farooq.
What came out of the talks?
You see, we were discussing 2-3 things in that meeting. Meeting was just accidental in fact, but anyway.
What do you mean accidental?
Accidental means we never planned it.
You just met up in Japan?
Yes, and we could not have planned it because we were not in a position to secure visas for them from the Indian government. So it was as simple as that, and for different reasons, people were there, and we took advantage of this meeting. And there we've been discussing the coming elections in Kashmir.
Did he tell you that all foreign Islamic militants should leave Indian administrative
Well, he made
Kashmir?
a public statement to that effect.
Mm-hmm. He
Yes.
told you that as well?
Yes,
And what
of
did
course.
you say? There aren't any.
No, I said I have always been in agreement with that perception. You see that because you see the presence of any foreign elements on the soil of Kashmir was detrimental to the Kashmiri cause, which is internationally recognized, and we would not promote or we would not encourage any foreign elements there. That has been a common view, not only with me, with Ghanin.
So you agreed that there should only be peaceful resolution of the crisis?
Yes, peaceful
but
resolution.
How?
How
to bring that about?
Yes, that's a very, very pertinent question you asked, Tim. I have been suggesting myself, I've been responsible for suggesting an intra-Kashmiri dialogue for that matter, because the two positions are so badly locked up that even if they want, they can't make any departure from that. So intra-Kashmiri dialogue, Kashmiri leadership from both sides be allowed to meet. And we sit and discuss in order of priority how to reduce tension, how to create atmosphere.
So who would take part in these discussions? You say an intra-Kashmiri
Yes,
dialogue.
the Kashmiris from the Azad Kashmir side and Kashmiris from
the Pakistan-administered side?
Yes, and the other side. Both sides.
But they're so badly split, aren't they? About
No,
what they want.
but
You
doesn't
take
matter.
the All-Hurriyat Committee that represents some 30 parties.
Yes.
They are so badly split about what they want. Aren't they?
You see, if you give them an opportunity to sit together, and if they fail, then the whole world will know that they have failed. They've not been able to bring any.
Why should they suddenly be able to agree because they come and sit down together? They can't agree when they're apart.
No, because everybody, every family, literally every house is suffering. And they're not sitting like here in England or elsewhere. You see, yes, there are people who are suffering.
But the suffering doesn't stop at the moment they sit down at the table, does it?
No, it does. Of course, it does.
Why?
It's only on table that you can sit and discuss with the people, with the Indian government, with the government of Pakistan, and our friends abroad here in the UK and the US to discuss and find out how can this suffering be alleviated.
But their positions are so diametrically apart. Some want union with India, some want
Yes,
union
that
with
is-
Pakistan,
no, that
some
is-
have ties with militants, some don't.
No, but you see, that depends on whether you give them an opportunity to sit and talk, and then only you will know whether Kashmiris can come together or not. Then there is no blame. So it's as simple as that.
Why was Abdul Ghani Lone assassinated after
He
your
was
meeting?
assassinated because his guards were withdrawn 2 days earlier by the state government, by Farooq Abdullah's government, and perhaps I mean, if he had lived, he perhaps might have posed a threat to Farooq Abdullah's own position because of his being moderate.
A lot of people say he was assassinated by your side, the Pakistani side.
See, to what end? I mean, then they must explain, give some logical, rational explanation. You see, was there a benefit of killing? And if that would have been so, I would have also been killed because we were together.
What was the benefit for the last 50 years of killing? You could also ask
Yes,
that, couldn't you?
yes, but people like Lord had not been killed anywhere. You see, people have been killing each other and being killed by India, but not like this.
You're supposed to have fired the first shot in 1947.
I started the movement in 1947, not
the
exactly.
so-called liberation movement.
Yes. Why do you say so-called? It liberated 34,000 square miles of area. As a result of that movement, 34,000 square miles of area was liberated. So it is not.
So you did your share of killing?
We fought. We did not kill any civilians, mind you, Mr. Tim. No civilians were killed under my command. And the people were protected to the extent that I did not permit under my command anybody to convert to Islam. I stopped conversions by order, and I told them to go back to India and get converted there if they wanted to embrace Islam. I have been.
But now you say the killing has to end, the fighting has to end.
Yes, fighting.
What made you see the light? What made you change?
Because of the gravity of the situation, which has developed into a nuclear strike, it completely destroyed.
Nuclear danger.
Of course, nuclear danger, and even if there was no nuclear danger, the military battle, you see, the battle on the ground would be devastating this time. The two sides have made so much preparations that if they go to war, it will not remain limited to the armies. It may go far beyond that to the communities on both sides.
But why should people trust you that A, that you've changed your mind, and B, that you're an honest broker now? Why should people trust you
Because
after the history of killing
my friend,
that has gone on in the Kashmir
just because,
Valley for so long?
Just because they know what I'm saying. I've lived with them for 50 years in politics. You see, it's not today or tomorrow.
But you're an appointee of General Musharraf.
I'm not a political upstart, and my appointment.
No, but you're an appointee of General
my
Musharraf.
appointment has been recognized by people in Pakistan, people in India, and all over the world. It has not been objected to, because they think that the moderation is a requirement of the world peace and requirement of the peace in the region.
It doesn't mean they think that you're talking in good faith, though. They may recognize your point.
No,
talking in good faith is something completely different.
Yes, Mr. Tim, this could be an objection raised, but refer it to the people. You see, if you come to know that they have no trust in me in what I'm saying, then it's good enough. But as long as they have trust in me for whatever I am doing, then it should be accepted as it is.
So if we listen to what you're saying, we should accept that Pakistan has changed its view, that now Pakistan no longer wants to take over the whole of Kashmir? That's not true,
Pakistan has never wanted to take over the whole of Kashmir. Pakistan has been committed under the UN resolutions as a party, like India is a party. But ultimately, the final disposition of the state rests with the people of the Jammu and Kashmir state. That has been the Pakistan. That is why Pakistan, while India merged Kashmir into their constitution, Pakistan stayed out of it, and it has no constitutional relationship.
But you want outside mediation, don't you? Which is the position of the Pakistani government.
I call it assistance. Mediation is a little hard to swallow, but I call
which the US has now ruled out in the shape of Richard Armitage, the Pentagon official, said the similar accord of 1972, both India and Pakistan determined that the question of Kashmir was a bilateral issue.
Good, all right.
It's a bilateral issue,
All right,
isn't it?
bilateralism, if under bilateralism they could make a progress, we would accept it. But if they don't make a progress, that doesn't mean that Kashmiri should continue suffering.
Well, the 72 treaty is still in effect, isn't it? The 72 treaty is still in effect.
Yes, my friend Tim. You see, no bilateral treaty supersedes a multilateral treaty. You see, it is an international agreement, it has not been superseded. It has not even been mentioned that this agreement supersedes the international agreement. We are still committed. It is on the agenda of the United Nations, and we are still committed to the United Nations. Whatever the decision, it will be within the framework of the United Nations.
So if they're not talking about mediation, they're talking about what?
Then the situation which you see.
Help, encouragement, assistance. That's
well, of course, yes. Finally, you see, United States and UK particularly has a great responsibility towards this, because it is the unfinished agenda that the UK left. So with their assistance, we can come, and we are prepared to help any peaceful process. You see, besides what we have suggested, is something else.
And despite what Pakistan has done in the past.
Pakistan, what has Pakistan? Pakistan has accepted mediation. Pakistan has accepted all recommendations made by international agencies, and the other side has rejected every.
Pakistan, in the shape of the ISI, has controlled the Islamic struggle in Kashmir. It has done since 1994.
It is not Islamic struggle, my friend. This is a misnomer again. It's a struggle.
Well, it is in the view of Western intelligence agencies and the Indians. That is exactly what it is in their view.
Because it's easy.
It doesn't make it different because you say it's not true.
It is easy, as you say here, give bad name to the dog and kill it. It's just giving bad name to the whole movement, which is a legitimate movement.
The dog has a pretty bad name as it is.
Who?
The dog has a pretty bad name as it is. The ISI has a pretty bad name.
No, ISI is not. ISI did not start the struggle. The struggle has been there since 1947. I was a part of the struggle. It was not started by anybody.
And by the mid-90s, they had completely consolidated their hold and sponsored terrorist action.
No terrorist action has been sponsored. Terrorism, again, is a misnomer. I would not agree that it is terrorism.
What hope for the elections that are coming up in India?
Yes, there are two points about the election. One is that election is not a substitute for plebiscite. That is the Security Council resolution of 1957, which categorically rejects election as a substitute for plebiscite. Secondly, election is something...
Prime Minister Nehru of India offered the plebiscite.
Yes.
In the 1940s.
Yes, they did.
And you failed to withdraw, Pakistan failed to withdraw from its part of Kashmir after a ceasefire under UN supervision.
This is historically incorrect, Mr. Tim. Let me say this.
This is the Indian version.
Well, Indian version may be anything.
We don't want to argue, though, about history.
If you are not arguing on the facts, then by hearsay and stories and fabricated stories...
the facts are different whichever side you listen to.
No. There are international facts. You see, they're not the facts that I'm pointing out. They're facts internationally recognized that all the recommendations made by plebiscite administrators were rejected by India, and withdrawal of troops was a part of the package.
Tell me the hope for the elections.
Pardon?
Tell me the hopes for the elections.
The elections, if Indian government can ensure that elections are fair, because at the moment the atmosphere is not conducive with 800,000 antagonist forces there. If they can create a conducive atmosphere and hold fair elections, it might be helpful for the Indian government, more helpful to the Indian government than to me or to this side. But if those conditions, and the world community should know those conditions. There's no media access, people have been killed, gang rape, women gang rape, children burnt alive, property destroyed, no Amnesty International cannot go, the Human Rights Organization cannot go inside. What sort of election is it, Mr. Tim? Well, after all, we are human beings all over the world.
It's easy to criticize the Indians.
Not criticize, what I'm saying is wrong.
It's easy to criticize the Indians when your side has done so much killing of its own.
You tell me that is it wrong what I am saying, that there is no human right access? Even Indian human right organization cannot go into Kashmir. There's no Red Cross access. There's no access.
There have been human rights access, as you know, on all sides.
But that is not the answer.
The reality is, though, that Kashmiris, and you say you know Kashmiris very well because you're one of them, they feel trapped in a war without end, don't they? Each act of killing begets another act of killing, doesn't it? It's a cycle. It's an endless cycle.
I agree.
War is their business.
That is why we are saying that end it. Let the international community take a bold step and end this. Put an end to killings and a violation of human rights. Whosoever is doing it, doesn't matter.
Why? Because India and Pakistan can't in any case sort out this problem by themselves.
I think they cannot.
You think they're incapable?
No, I've told them many times that they're incapable of doing it, and let the international community take a forward step. And the commitment international community has to only honor its own commitments made internationally. Leave aside India and Pakistan. There's commitment by UK, commitment by 38 independent free countries at that time, and in the United Nations, and US and Canada and UK were the mostly people responsible for bringing about the ceasefire. Otherwise, perhaps things would have been different.
What is the chance of the crisis flaring up again to the extent we've seen it in recent weeks? It's down a few notches at the moment.
I'm glad you asked this question, because I myself, in addressing think tanks, other people, and today talking to the Strategic Institute, I've been saying that we must try to avoid a recurrence of what has happened in the past, because this time, if it recurs again, then of course we have had it, and there's no way.
What do you mean we've had it? What does that mean?
With the people in Kashmir and Pakistan and India, you see that it will blow up beyond anybody's control.
And Pakistan would use its nuclear missiles.
Well, both of them. Anybody who faces a losing proposition, you see, nobody would be prepared to lose. So
General Musharraf has said it's unthinkable. You say it's thinkable.
No. I also say it's unthinkable, but in conditions.
You just told me.
You see, but you look at Mr. Tim, what Advani is saying, what Fernandez has said. We'll wipe out
let's talk about what you're saying.
Wipe out Pakistan from existence. Somebody says this to me, that they'll wipe it out, and I'll say, all right, and we'll do what we can. It is just in retaliation to what they say. We have not taken any initiative towards any military build-up or towards any aggravation of the position.
That's definitive. That's your final answer. Qayyum Khan, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
On this week's Hard Talk,
we, including myself, should have done more.
Vic Berta, a very warm welcome to the program.